Listen, I want to break this down to where I hope you really grasp hold to what I'm saying. Back in Genesis chapter 19, we have the story of where the term sodomy comes from. Now, sodomy is the generic term that we use today that is simply describing unnatural sexual activity. Mm-hmm. Okay? And so it's not necessarily a specific act, but simply unnatural sexual activity. It's derived, of course, sodomy is derived from the biblical term sodomy, sodomites, because of what happened in Genesis 19. In Genesis 19, I want to read a portion of it to you. Genesis 19:1, and there came two angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold, now my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we'll abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. But then it says this. It says, But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, Where are the men which came in to thee this night? Bring them out unto us that we may know them. Mm-hmm. That is the biblical term for have sex with them.
Right.
And Lot went out the door unto them and shut the door after him. And he said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have two daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as ye see good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. And they said, Stand back. And they said again, This one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will be a judge. Now will he deal worse with me than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. And so these men, both young and old, the Bible tells us, compassed the house. They were trying to break in to get these men to rape them.
Right.
That's what was happening in Sodom in that day. And let me tell you what was happening physically in Sodom that day is happening mentally to our children today.
Right, yep.
Okay? And let me explain this. And because what is happening today, it goes all the way back to the gay movement of the 70s. It was a twofold movement. The first part of the movement was acceptance. Mm-hmm. Gay people said, we just want you to accept us for who we are. That's all we want. We want you to accept us. And so what did America do? America began to accept them.
Right.
But that was only part of the plan. The other part of the plan was affirmation. Mm-hmm. In other words, don't just accept me. You have to now agree
right.
with what I'm doing, that it is right. You can't speak against it. You can't stand up against it. Don't just accept me for me. Mm-hmm. You have to say what I'm doing is right. Affirm. And so that is a forceful way of making you believe something, right?
Yep.
Now, the men back in Sodom in the days of Lot tried to physically rape, force themselves upon the angels. Today, we have in this sodomic movement a great many people encompassing us, bullying us, mm-hmm. and trying to force us to say this mess is right. That's what's happening. Our children are being mentally raped.
Right.
Is what it boils down to. They are being forced this stuff. And you think this is not having an effect? 3.2% 8 years ago identified as LGBTQ, and last year 5.6%, and the young people were driving the numbers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You think that this mental rape of our children is not having an effect? It's absolutely wicked is what is happening. And I guarantee you, anybody under the sound of my voice, if you saw someone raping your child, you'd take action.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing this to our children mentally, and we're standing by and watching.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, we ought to stand up. We need to see it for what it is. They're forcing this stuff on us. And if you disagree, then you get canceled, right? The cancel culture. I don't even like saying that word. It's so, it's been so thrown about that people have become numb to it. If you disagree with them, they shut you down. Is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
They'll call you names. People will just hear the names that they call you and then disregard what it is you're saying.
Right.
Says this, in the gender dysphoria clinic in England, 10% of the kids are between the ages of 3 and 10. 3 and 10 are experiencing gender dysphoria, and they have them in this clinic to give them puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones and all this other stuff. And we ought to be outraged.
Yep.
We ought to be outraged. We need to get outraged.
We need to be, yeah.
Mm-hmm. We need to get there because unless it happens, this is going to continue on.
Yep.
It's going to continue on. Let them. I don't care if they call me a homophobe. I don't care. Let them call me a racist. I don't care. And you ought not to either. You ought to just stand up for what's right. God makes the terms on what is wrong and what's right.
That's right.
And God said this is wrong. In the beginning, made them male and female. Matthew 19:4, and he answered and said unto them, have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? That's the words of Christ. He did not add a third category on there.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that even if you pick up the other versions of the Bible, you're not going to see a door number 3 on there either.
Nope.
All right. So there's that.